Hello, everyone, and welcome to Module 5, Social Support, Relationships, Work, and Quality of Life in Multiple Sclerosis. This session is designed for adults living with MS, caregivers, family members, and professionals who support them. MS affects more than physical health. It can influence relationships, family roles, work, identity, confidence, social participation, and the feeling of belonging. Sometimes these social and practical changes are as difficult as the symptoms themselves. Today we will explore what quality of life really means, what helpful support looks like, how MS can affect family life, friendship, intimacy, work, and identity, and how communication and boundaries can protect both dignity and connection. We will also discuss social isolation, peer and community support, sustainable daily living, and a few reflection tools that can help people identify realistic next steps. Some topics, especially intimacy and relationships, may feel personal. Nobody is expected to disclose private experiences. Participants may listen, reflect privately, or take a break whenever needed. This module is organized into 6 connected areas. First, we will define quality of life and consider the role of social support. Second, we will discuss relationships and intimacy, including family, friendship, identity, body image, and emotional connection. Third, we will focus on work and participation. Participation includes paid work, but also parenting, caregiving, study, volunteering, household responsibilities, and community roles. Fourth, we will examine isolation, stigma, the experience of invisible symptoms, and the value of peer and community resources. Fifth, we will practice communication, boundary setting, and asking for help in ways that protect autonomy and dignity. Finally, we will consider how to build a sustainable daily life and use reflection tools to identify small, realistic adjustments. The aim is not to create one correct model of living with MS. The aim is to help each person protect connection, meaning, independence, and participation in ways that fit their own life. When healthcare professionals discuss MS, the focus may naturally be on relapses, MRI results, medication, mobility, or other symptoms. These are important, but they do not provide the complete picture of a person's life. A person may be medically stable and still feel lonely, unable to continue an important role, worried about work, or disconnected from friends. Another person may live with significant symptoms but still experience meaning, supportive relationships, autonomy, and satisfaction. The statement on this slide says that quality of life is shaped by connection, dignity, support, independence, and participation. These are not secondary luxuries. They influence how people cope, make decisions, stay motivated, and experience everyday life. This broader view also reduces blame. When someone struggles because transport is inaccessible, a workplace is inflexible, or family members do not understand invisible fatigue, the difficulty is not simply a personal failure to cope. The environment and the available support matter. Our learning goals are therefore to understand quality of life broadly, recognize the value of support and participation, explore changing roles and identity, and strengthen communication and support planning. Quality of life includes several connected dimensions. The first is physical health, symptoms, pain, fatigue, mobility, sleep, and general health. The second is psychological well-being, mood, confidence, hope, identity, stress, and the ability to adjust to change. The third is independence, being able to make decisions, complete daily activities, manage personal care, and use support without losing control over one's life. The fourth is social relationships, family, friendship, intimacy, belonging, and the feeling of being understood. The fifth is the environment, housing, transport, access to services, financial security, workplace conditions, community accessibility, and social attitudes. These dimensions influence one another. Fatigue may reduce social activity. Isolation may lower mood. Poor transport may make healthcare or work participation difficult. Supportive relationships may make symptoms easier to manage. A useful question is not only, how are your symptoms, but also, what is making daily life harder and what is helping it remain meaningful? Social support can reduce isolation, improve confidence, and make practical challenges more manageable. However, the quality of support is more important than simply the number of people around someone. A person may have a large family and still feel misunderstood. Another person may have only one or two reliable contacts and feel deeply supported. Helpful support is respectful rather than controlling. It asks what is needed instead of taking over automatically. It is informed rather than dismissive. It accepts that fatigue, pain, or concentration difficulties can be real even when they are not visible. Support may be emotional, such as listening without judgment. It may be practical, such as transport, shopping, childcare, or help with paperwork. It may be informational, such as helping someone understand services. It may also be companionship and inclusion. The support network map on the slide includes family, friends, peers, work or study contacts, and healthcare services. A strong network does not require every person to provide every type of help. Different people can have different roles. Support should strengthen autonomy. The guiding question is, how can I help in a way that respects your choices and abilities? MS can affect everyday relationships in subtle or major ways. Family members may worry and become overprotective. Friends may withdraw because they feel unsure what to say or assume that canceled plans mean a lack of interest. Invisible symptoms can be particularly difficult. A person may look well but feel exhausted, in pain, cognitively overloaded, or unable to continue an activity. When others judge only by appearance, misunderstanding can grow. Healthy relationships often require repeated communication because symptoms and needs change. One conversation is rarely enough for every future situation. Open communication means explaining needs clearly without assuming that others can guess. Realistic expectations mean accepting that plans may sometimes change. Flexibility means finding alternatives rather than ending connection altogether. For example, a person may say, "I cannot manage a long visit today, but I would still like to see you for 30 minutes. Or, "I need to cancel the outing, but could we speak by phone?" Shared problem solving is more effective than blame. The aim is not to decide who is right, but to ask, what adjustment would help us stay connected while respecting current limits? Intimacy is an important part of quality of life, but it is often ignored because people feel embarrassed or assume it is not a legitimate healthcare or relationship concern. MS may affect intimacy directly through physical symptoms, pain, reduced sensation, mobility difficulties, bladder concerns, or medication effects. It may also affect intimacy indirectly through fatigue, stress, anxiety, body image changes, and fear of rejection. Emotional intimacy is broader than sexual activity. It includes feeling seen, wanted, safe, respected, listened to, and emotionally close to another person. Silence often increases stress because each person begins to guess what the other is thinking. A partner may interpret fatigue as rejection, while the person with MS may be afraid of disappointing the partner. A helpful conversation can focus on comfort, closeness, timing, energy, and what remains enjoyable. Adaptation may include choosing a better time of day, reducing pressure, changing expectations, or finding other forms of affection and connection. Concerns about sexual function, pain, medication effects, or emotional distress can be discussed with an appropriate healthcare professional. These concerns are legitimate and deserve respectful care. As a trainer, we discuss this topic without asking anyone to reveal personal experiences. The key message is that intimacy and identity matter. Communication can reduce misunderstanding, and adaptation can support closeness. Participation includes paid employment, but it is much broader. It also includes parenting, caregiving, study, household responsibilities, volunteering, hobbies, friendships, and community roles. MS may affect these roles through fatigue, pain, mobility changes, cognitive difficulties, medical appointments, and unpredictability. A person may be able to perform a task, but not at the same speed for the same duration, or without recovery time. When an important role becomes harder, grief and frustration are understandable. People often connect identity with what they do. I am a teacher. I am the person who cares for everyone, or I am independent. A change in role can therefore affect self-worth, not only routine. All or nothing thinking may sound like, if I cannot work exactly as before, I have failed, or if I need help with household tasks, I am no longer useful. A more sustainable approach asks how the role can be adapted. Workplace adaptations might include flexible hours, remote work where possible, planned breaks, reduced physical demands, accessible equipment, or clearer task priorities. Rights and procedures vary by country, so local professional advice may be needed. In family life, adaptation may mean redistributing tasks while preserving meaningful choices and contributions. Participation should be measured by meaning and sustainability, not only by volume or speed. Social isolation does not always happen suddenly. It may grow gradually as activities require more energy, transport becomes difficult, invitations decrease, or the person becomes tired of explaining symptoms. Stigma may involve disbelief, blame, pity, or assumptions about ability. Invisible symptoms can lead to comments such as, "You look fine," which may make the person feel that their experience is being denied. Some people withdraw to avoid judgment or repeated disappointment. However, long-term isolation may reduce mood, confidence, activity, and access to support. Protection against isolation does not necessarily require a large social circle. 1 or 2 reliable relationships can make a major difference when those relationships include respect, understanding, and practical inclusion. Practical inclusion means more than saying, "We are thinking about you." It may mean choosing an accessible location, offering a shorter activity, allowing flexible arrival times, arranging transport, or continuing to invite the person without pressure. A useful response to an invisible symptom is not, "But you look well." It is, "Thank you for telling me. What would make participation easier today?" Peer support connects people with others who have lived experience of MS. This can reduce loneliness and provide a type of recognition that differs from general sympathy. Peers may share practical ideas about fatigue, appointments, work, travel, relationships, equipment, or communicating with family. They may also provide hope by showing different ways of adapting. However, one person's experience is not a medical rule. Advice about medication, supplements, or treatment decisions should still be discussed with qualified professionals. Community support may include patient organizations, local groups, online communities, adult education, social care assessment, workplace advice, disability rights services, transport support, counseling, and caregiver resources. Access is part of quality of life. A person may have strong coping skills but still struggle if services, transport, information, or environments are inaccessible. The best resource is one that is safe, respectful, accessible, and relevant to the person's actual needs. People may prefer face-to-face support, online groups, individual contact, or no group involvement at all. Choice matters. Asking for help can be difficult. Some people fear becoming a burden, losing independence, or being treated differently. Others become exhausted from explaining the same needs repeatedly. Clear communication reduces guessing. The sentences on the slide combine honesty with autonomy. "I need rest, but I still want to be included." And "I want support, and I also want independence." A useful structure is describe the situation, name the need, state the boundary, and suggest an alternative. For example, "My energy is low today. I need help with shopping, but I would like to choose the items and organize the list myself." Boundaries protect dignity in relationships. A boundary may sound like, "Please ask before helping me stand." "I do not want to discuss my health in front of other people," or "I can stay for 1 hour, and then I need to leave." Supporters should avoid taking over tasks automatically. They can ask, "Would you like help? And if so, what kind?" This preserves choice. It is also acceptable to say no to advice, invitations, questions, or pressure. A respectful boundary is not rejection. It is information about what is manageable and safe. Asking for specific help is often easier for others to respond to than saying only, "I cannot cope." Specific requests might include transport, a meal, a phone call, help with paperwork, or quiet companionship. A sustainable daily life is one that can be continued without repeatedly creating physical or emotional collapse. It is built around current capacity rather than an ideal standard of productivity. Protected rest and pacing are essential. Rest should be planned as part of the day, not treated as a failure after everything becomes impossible. Responsibilities should be manageable. This may involve prioritizing tasks, sharing duties, reducing unnecessary demands, or using services and equipment. Chosen social connection is also important. A person does not need to attend every event to remain connected. Shorter visits, online contact, quieter activities, or one-to-one meetings may be more sustainable. Meaningful routines protect identity. Music, learning, gardening, faith activities, creative work, family rituals, volunteering, or another valued activity can help a person feel that life contains more than illness management. Adapting is not giving up. Adaptation protects participation. What worked last year may not fit today, and what works today may need to change again. A useful weekly question is, which activities give me meaning? Which activities drain me unnecessarily? And what one adjustment would create better balance? Reflection is not meant to create pressure or constant self-analysis. It is a way to notice patterns and identify one useful next step. The first question is, who supports me well? Think about what that person does that feels helpful. Do they listen, believe you, offer practical help, respect boundaries, or keep you included? The second question is, where do I feel isolated? This might be at work, within the family, in social activities, or even while surrounded by people who do not understand. The third question is, which role feels hardest right now? Naming the role can make the problem more specific. Is the difficulty physical, emotional, practical, environmental, or related to expectations? The final question is, what one change would help this week? The answer should be small enough to try. It might be asking for one specific form of help, arranging a shorter visit, clarifying a boundary, contacting a peer group, or changing one responsibility. The reflection exercise asks for one supportive relationship, one area needing clearer support, and one small change. This creates a balanced picture: existing strength, current need, and next action. We are looking for progress, not perfection. One clearer conversation can be a meaningful improvement. Quality of life in MS includes physical, psychological, social, practical, and environmental dimensions. Medical stability alone does not describe the whole experience. Social support is most helpful when it is informed, respectful, flexible, and responsive to what the person actually needs. MS can affect family life, friendship, intimacy, work, identity, and participation. These concerns are legitimate parts of care and well-being. Isolation and misunderstanding can reduce quality of life even when medical treatment is effective. Reliable connections and practical inclusion can protect against isolation. Peer groups, community resources, social services, and workplace support may strengthen participation and access. Communication and boundaries allow people to ask for help while protecting autonomy and dignity. The goal is not to continue every role exactly as before. The goal is to preserve meaning, connection, contribution, and choice through realistic adaptation. Quality of life in MS is shaped not only by symptoms, but also by connection, dignity, support, independence, and participation. A meaningful life does not require perfect health, perfect coping, or complete independence. It can include receiving help, changing roles, setting limits, and finding new ways to participate. Relationships are strengthened when people communicate honestly, listen without judgment, respect autonomy, and solve problems together. Work and community participation become more sustainable when environments adapt rather than expecting the person to carry every burden alone. Small changes matter. One person who understands, one clearer boundary, one accessible activity, one adapted role, or one request for practical support. I invite you to leave with one action that protects connection or dignity. It may be contacting someone, explaining a need, reviewing a role, joining a support resource, or making one weekly activity more manageable. Thank you for your attention, sensitivity, and participation throughout this module. The goal is realistic, sustainable well-being, built one respectful adaptation at a time.